This is Peter Kewo, and I am your tutor for visual arts. The presentation that I'm going to go through with you today, it's a summary from your Kindle if you are using a Kindle, or the book if you are using the book. This summary is composed, or it's put together from all your books, whether it's a DJPE or BESP or DPPE. It includes all those specific books. So in other words, when it comes to your preparation for your assignment for 2021, plus all the other assessments that includes exams for your year 2021 is your academic year, it's all included in the specific summary. So what is important here is that you get these presentations, take your books or your Kindle, and they summarize this specific presentation from those specific books. Then you start doing your assignments accordingly. Let's start. On the first page, we are going to go through the contents. Now, some of your books have got only up to Unit 4, and some have got until Unit 6, especially for the JPE. That's why, as I stated earlier, that this specific summary or presentation, it includes all the 3 books and all the units. So the content, Unit 1 in your book, you have got the explanations on some basic of visual arts perspectives. You have the unit on examining and demonstrating how to draw pictures. You also have a Unit 3 on qualifications and demonstrations how to model. Also a unit on illustrations, clarification, constructing, and collage work. Another unit, which is Unit number 5, on a discussions of the aspects of teaching and assessment of art creations. And the last unit is the examination on the teaching, learning activities, and the materials for visual arts when it comes to grade 1. First and foremost, in Unit 1, I guess, it's about the aims. On this specific topic here, it's about the aims of art education. In other words, why should we teach art education, or why should we educate our primary school goers on art education? Questions like why learners must do arts can be asked, and the short answer to that will be they do art to express, they do art to communicate, and they do art to create order. Through those specific art activities, whether it's for drawing, collage, modeling, students are expressing a specific feeling, they are communicating a specific message, and they are also, in a way, while they are creating those specific artworks, they are putting their pictures in order. Defining the art concept. Through the art of history, there has been many definitions of this specific discipline, the discipline of art. But here it says today people are willing to admit that it is not easy to define a concept as wide as this specific one. Say that it's not easy to give definitions or to describe or to answer a big concept such as the one of visual arts in simple terms. So we can say art is a form and it's a content. Why do we say art is a form? We say art is a form because we recognize that the artist uses some or other mediums of art materials. What are the mediums? Mediums are pencils, pen, ink, paints, and other materials. While doing that, they are using the what? what is called the elements of arts. Those are the lines, shapes, textures and colors, and the principles of art. In other words, the elements of art are the fundamental pillars of art, meaning that you cannot do a specific drawing if you do not put a line there. And the principles are the rules that guides how you apply or how you use those specific elements of art to create something that is appeal. In other words, to create something that is of a message and also interesting and at the same time beautiful. Art is also having content. Why do we have it have got content? Simply because it conveys a meaning. Artworks or artists produce artworks to communicate a specific message. So they send a specific message with a meaning to their audience. The inspiration of all the products comes from the environment the artist lives in. What does that specifically mean? That most of the artworks that you see, if the artist is from Zambezi region, for example, the chances are there that you will see that specific region, the traditions, the culture of that specific region being communicated in their artworks. If they are coming from Ochinene, you are most likely also to see that specific environment shown in their artworks. So artists do artworks based on their life and everyday experience, plus the environment where they live in. Art education, a subject that falls within the aesthetic area of learning and has definite thematic links with other subjects. You cannot teach art in isolation. That means that the art projects for the week must link with the theme of the week. For example, you are teaching children about wildlife. Wildlife, so we talk of the big fives, those are the lions, the tigers, and others. So if you are teaching that specific topic, so in terms of art, you will need pictures to display. You will need pictures about wildlife, animals, to link to the theme or to the topic that you are teaching in class. If they are drawing, then they must be drawing about those specific wildlife. If it's a topic on houses, where they are coming from, then they will be able to draw pictures within or that portrays where they are coming from, and we are referring to houses. There are different disciplines of art. Visual art is not the only discipline. There are other disciplines of art. And in this specific book here, in your book, there is a discipline on visual art. There is a discipline of art of music, a discipline of the art of dance, a discipline of the art of drama, and a discipline of the appreciation of arts. Now here you just need to understand, as you are reading, the differences between these specific disciplines when learners or artists are practicing them. That visual arts to do with drawing, making patterns, music to do with singing and percussions, dance, body awareness levels. Learners express and they represent what they observe, think, and imagine through the movements, because we are talking about dancing. We have got drama also, role play, mimicry, structures of drama, and presentations, meaning that learners here express and represent what they observe, think, imagine through the pretend play. Remember, the one for drama, it talks of, the one for dance, it talks of through movements, and drama through pretend play. So that is the difference. And then we have got also a discipline on appreciating art, meaning that learners must be able to evaluate, they must be able to appreciate all forms of art creations, being it the artworks that they have done themselves or the artworks that are done by their peers in class. They must be able to look at them, they must be able to comment, They are able to tell whether they like it or what they think, and be able to ask what their peers or why they have come up with that specific drawing, and also thank them or encourage them to do more. The values of visual art education. Now, why is visual art important? What does it do? There are many different points highlighted as the values of art education. And perhaps you can go through three of them or two, otherwise there are as many as you can see them listed. One of those values is that art or visual art education develop a creative attitude toward the visual art and will to express themselves through artistic activities. It discovers and develops their creative and expressive abilities through the use of CR means, materials, and techniques in a variety of art activities. So here, just what does it do? If I have to interpret on those specific 2 points, that the first one, it develops a creative attitude, meaning that if you give your children a chance to work on an art activity, in a way, they will be willing to come up with new things. They will want perhaps to imitate things that they have observed somewhere, but at that specific moment, those things are not there. That means they have to make them from their heads, trying to convey or translate that specific or transform that specific image they have in the head into a piece of paper if they are drawing or if they are painting. That's why it creates that need, that specific attitude to come up with something that is not in their visibility at that specific moment. It says that it develops their creative and expressive ability through the use of, because here now they will be doing so by using what? If they are drawing, they drawing. If they are painting, by painting. If there is collaging is a process of tearing papers and pasting them on a specific surface using glue while creating a specific image. One can say it's pasting, but the proper terminology for it when it comes to art, it's called collage, which is a French word, I think. Aims of art education. Remember, the first slide talks of the value. This specific one here talks of the aims. So what is the difference between the aims and the value of art education? And I leave that one for you to be able to distinguish between the two. Do some little research on that. Aims in art education: enable the learners to contribute to the development of culture in Namibia. This one is quite specific and is directed to the contribution that it can make when it comes to the Namibian context. As we stated before, that artists always produce artworks based on where they are coming from. That's why it's very hard to separate art and culture. They complement each other. Therefore, here this statement says it helped to contribute, or it helped the learners, or it able to make learners to contribute to the development of culture in Namibia. Simply because learners in class, if you ask them to draw houses, what do? They draw houses of where they are coming from. Now, who or what type of learners do you have in class? Are they all coming from one house? Are they all coming from the same background? Or are they coming from the same traditions and cultures? That's why if you give them that specific activity, you'll be able to see that learners will come up with many different houses because they are coming from different cultures and backgrounds. The other points you can read and just understand them. And also in this specific presentation, wherever you see this cont here, and there are dots following, that means that you go into your book, get that specific information, and continue. Here you have just, or you are just given a little bit of that specific information. There are also other benefits of practicing arts, and that includes the assessment of multiple intelligences, The develop of higher thinking skills, enhance cultural understandings, build self-esteem, gain positive emotional responses to learning, and engage through a variety of art styles. No, this is all just to say what else can learners benefit if they are going through art lessons. What can they do? They get a chance to experience multi intelligences. What does that supposed to mean? No, being creative is a process, and that process involves thinking, trying to imagine, and also in a way transforming what you are imagining into a specific surface. And in a way, you are using colors, you are using paints, you are using pencils while you are trying to communicate a specific message. You know that it's a lot of things that are involved. Higher thinking skills, and it also includes that. That's why I think I have just highlighted that in that specific first statement. There are also general aims of art education, which includes that art stimulates creativity. The key word here is stimulates. What does that mean? That art activates that creative talent within a specific learner. Art also develops self-expression, because even if the child does not talk too much, through art, when they are doing those artworks in isolation, with a specific guidance, specific theme, given the art materials, they are able to communicate what and express themselves, even things that they could not say by words. Art also serves as a visual expression in a way that students are drawing. As long as the idea is in the head and is not yet transformed on a piece of paper, it's not yet visual. Things or ideas becomes visuals if there are images displayed. Here, just to say that those specific drawings that you see on a piece of papers, those are the visual, or whatever the child want to express, brought it out visually by the means of drawing and present an image to you. So that means that in that specific image, you are able to read the image, you are able to understand the image, and you are able to tell what the child might be going through, whether it's happy or sadness or anything that is happening. Through visual image, you are able to understand. Art also serves as a hand-eye training. Just to say that, let's say you are having an activity that is observational skills or drawing, whereby they take perhaps apples and they have to draw looking by that specific apple. Eye on the apple, and then the hand is drawing. That is just a direct kind of translation or interpretation of this specific topic, or that point, that it's a hand-eye training, that a child is able to draw what they can see with the eyes. Art and culture also, the identity of a young learner is linked with their culture and they cannot be separated. Art is both the manifestation of culture as well as the means of communicating through cultural knowledge. As we stated before, that artists, and that is not exceptional to learners, draw or paint about their specific own what? Background, and that is culture, and through they use art materials to portray their cultures. Theories about interpretations of art. So this theory now here, I urge you to read it more on your own in your book. But otherwise, theories, just to say, many studies, the studies that were done to interpret or to be able to comment and talk and perhaps judge the child's artwork, what to expect in a child's drawing based on their age groups, and what type of image to expect, and how do you comment on them. There are specific stages that, although these are different studies, in a way they have agreed to some specific stages that this is the stages that a child has to go through when it comes to their artistic development. And that is been guided by how their images are most likely to appear when they are drawing. And here are those specific stages. You need to go through them, you need to study them, you need to understand them, and you need to be able to differentiate between the stage of scribbling, that is between 2 and 4, pre-semantic 4 and 7, semantic 7 and 9, and so and so. So what is the differences between those specific stages? Eye of a beholder. We have heard this phrase for many years, and it comes also with different interpretations. However, within the context of arts, this characteristic follows from the previous one. Learners will predict places according to their feelings about those things rather than how they actually look. That is just to say that learners, let's say a child who is between 7 or 4 and 7, these learners are not, when they are drawing, they are not necessarily paying attention to how the human being looks like. They just put the image there because that is what they feel and that is how they feel, as long as they are communicating what they want to communicate. But they don't really matter that I must draw the eye as it is or whatsoever. No, they just give the figures that indicating that that is a human being, also not intentional, because for them they believe that is at their best and that is how it looks like. However, what is more important for learners there is to tell you what this specific figure represents in their drawings. Yeah, so a topic on colors, that color means a response, or color symbolism means our response to color are not biological. They are also influenced by color associations. That means how we respond to colors. One can see somebody putting on black and they think of mourning and all the evilish kind of things. Other person will see that specific same person in black and they will think of how black is beautiful, the energy in it and the others. That's why it depends on how one reacts to a color, that it's not only biological, it's not how it should be, but it's also connected to how we associate these colors to the events. And these are just different reactions on colors based on associations. Elements of arts, and this includes now the elements of art themselves plus the principle of art themselves. So here what is important, and what you, even when you are studying this, what you need to understand is the difference between the two. What are the elements of arts? What are the principle of arts? What are the functions of the elements of art in a drawing? What are the functions of principle of art in a drawing? Now these two things, they sound different. However, what is important is their functions. What are the elements? These are the fundamental pillars. What you need for you to be able to come or to show or to put a visual image on paper. You need line, you need to put a line there. You need to connect that specific line, and as a result it produces a shape. And you need to add some textures. You need to add some. So what I'm asking you to do here is to study or know the distinction between the elements and the principles. That the elements are the lines, the colors, the shapes, the forms, the texture, the space, value, tone, and directions. While the principles, as I mentioned earlier, that elements are the fundamental pillars. Principles are the rules of art. How do you use those specific fundamentals, which are the elements? What do you need for you to create a depth in an artwork, to bring out an idea, to shade, and how do you do that? And the list of here that is the balance, the contrast, the dominance, the proportions, the repetitions of patterns. Those are the processes of what happens as much as you want to draw a picture that will stand out from the surface. Also the topic of application of visual art, craft, and advertising. And on this specific one, I want just to go on the 4 points highlighted. That is more on the qualities of a good advertising. Although some people believe that designers are artists and artists are designers, and in many instances they are, but designers have more commercial connotations. That designers, they work more on commercial purposes. They advertise or they design products or whatever that they are designing for the intention of somebody to like it and perhaps buy it, and they are commissioned in most areas to do that. While art comes as a talent, you do art. Designers are almost most likely to design one image that sends the same message to everybody else, while an artist can create a specific art painting that sends different messages to different audience. Here we look at the 4 qualities, especially when you are watching an advertisement, whether it's a clip or it's in a newspaper or in a magazine. There are 4 qualities that are highlighted. One is that the advertising itself must be able to attract the attention of the viewer. The colors used and the fonts used and the pictures. Said it must also be able to arouse the interest. You watch it, you are attracted, but then the wording, how those you are informed about that specific product, they must be inviting words. They said it must be able to create a desire to make you want to go and buy that thing, even if you did not need it at first. If the graphics or graphic designers happen to do their jobs correctly, you will end up going and buy the specific things. It also must be able to cause the action to make you to get the results. You design, and if you want to attract for sales, make sure that you put up advertisement campaigns that sends the right message, communicate positively, creates the need for the viewers to want it, and as a result act going and buy it. A picture is worth 1,000 words. We have heard of this phrase for many times. Here, what is important just to understand that in pre-primary schools, grade 1s, 2s, and 3s, if you happen to look at those specific books, even if you happen to visit their classrooms, you will learn that the younger they are, the smaller the grade is, the lower the grade is, the more the pictures are. And the more or the bigger or the older or the higher the grade is, the fewer the pictures are used in their study materials. That at grade 1, pre-primary, grade 0, grade 2, pictures are more compared to the what? To the letters or the texts. Meaning that the learners are able to understand more by looking at the pictures. And when they are growing, grades are going high, they start also, they learn how to read. They are more able to learn by understanding what is said about in the picture or the picture. Otherwise, here just to say that a picture can tell as much as a text can. Collecting pictures, pictures for your themes, that is just to say that you need to know what the theme is. If you are talking about a theme of wildlife, I'm getting back there, make sure that you collect pictures of wildlife, and it must be pictures that are good to use for the age group that you are working with. If it's on houses, then you collect such pictures. If it's about water, you collect such pictures. If it's about schools, then you collect such pictures. Here are some examples of themes. If you are teaching about phonics, if you have ever visited a pre-primary school classrooms, you must be able to see those pictures on the wall. A for what? For apple. B for what? For bees. E for what? For elephant. They are matched in that specific way, and this is what people are just talking about. Coloring in pictures in your siblings, daughters or sons' book, coloring books. There's always pictures that are drawn there but without colors in, and then they are given colors to color in. There are also dotted pictures, a picture created with dots, and the activity there is that the learner must now connect those specific dots and bring out the image in one solid line. So continue reading, please. The basic paints and tools needed. So this not every paint you can use in your class for learners, because you are dealing with pre-primary education learners. There are specific paints that are recommended, and these are paints that are more user-friendly, not harmful, also don't stick to clothes permanently, for learners to use. And here they referred to the tempera paint, and down there you are just given the examples of those specific tempera paints. They are powder paints, and there are also some tools that they can use to paint. So now you don't give dangerous tools to learners to paint. You give them tools that are not harmful, that they cannot injure themselves with them. And also you can make use of their own hands also, because we remember we stated that the paint is user friendly and it also washes off easily. So learners here can use their fingers, they can use their sticks, they can use plastic, even palette knives, sponges to apply paints on on those surfaces while they are creating their paintings. Handling materials, in class this is to inform you that you need to set specific rules. You need to allocate a specific space for where to keep your materials. You need to make sure that they are cleaned after and they are packed away, they are prepared earlier before the class, and so on and so on. Please continue reading and summarize it from your book. Theory of color. What is important here is that there is what is called a color wheel, starting with 3 basic colors, and these 3 basic colors are colors that you cannot mix any other colors in the world to get them. However, you can be able to mix them to get other colors. What are these colors? These colors are red, it's blue, and it's yellow. Those 3 colors, red, blue, and yellow, you cannot mix any other colors to get them. However, if you take yellow and blue and put them together, you will see that the result will be green, and that is known as a secondary color. So the color wheel starts with primary colors, blue, red, and blue, graduates if you mixed the 2 secondary color, primary colors, gives you a secondary color, and those are the green, the purple, and the orange. And then again, if you mix the secondary colors, they give you what is called a tertiary colors, and those will be the green, what. So in the book, you must be able to understand that. But what is important is to understand the basic of where the theory color starts. Okay. Perspectives in drawing. These are the guidance when you are drawing, that there are specific drawings in called perspectives in drawing, and also perspective itself, it's a principle of art, and the guidance of how to apply that specific principle when you are creating art. That there are type of horizon or horizon lines, there are perspective lines, there are angular lines, vanishing points, focal points, also called the primary object. A focal point is just the most interesting area of the painting. What is attracting it? It can be the smallest area, a picture or content in the, let's say if it's a sunset, a big wild landscape kind of a painting, maybe kind of darkish. However, because the sun is setting, when the sun is put there, very hot, and it's going down, and when you look at it, that is what attracts you the most. Or otherwise, maybe it's the biggest object, maybe a big cow there. It can also be the one that is attracting you. Otherwise, these angular lines, vanishing points, perspective is just how does the painting looks like. Vanishing point, let's say you are standing in the middle of the road, you face one side. You see that where you are standing, you can see how big or how wide the road is. However, if you look forward, you see how it starts getting together and become as it's joined, and or maybe it's ending there. But in reality, it's not ending, it's just vanishing, and it's off your ability to see where it's going, your sight. Different patterns, as I stated before, that go through those specific elements and the principles of art and be able to differentiate. While you are doing so, learn the functions of each and element of art within the artwork. What is the use of line? That is what is being asked here. When you are now judging the painting, or when you are critiquing a specific painting or a child's drawing, there are four components that you must use. One is description, what you see, study the artwork, detail carefully, describe the work in full details. One of those is how is the artwork organized, and that is analysis. Look for and talk about the elements and the principles of art. How are they being used in that? How did the artist achieved what he wanted to achieve through that? Interpretation, talk about the specific artwork. What is happening? Judgment, what do you think of the artwork? Do you like it? Did the artist execute it how it's supposed to happen, or what? Or what do you think the use of the elements and the principle of art? How to involve learners in painting activities. Yes, how to involve learners in painting activities. There are also other topics of how to involve learners in modeling activities, how to involve learners in picture making activities. This is just how to involve, how to make learners part of that project. You get the basic materials or the materials that you think learners cannot get by themselves. However, if it's a collage, you can ask them to collect pictures with you and then to tear around. And this is just how to make learners become part of their artwork, and they start producing their own thing. How do you do that? The processes are explained and you are urged to read. Here it's just how do you plan your activities. There are specific preparations or steps that you must take. You need to prepare. Step one, motivate and identify what you need to do, which is termed as a problem here. You need to practice, you need to experiment. Remember, you are preparing. If you need to prepare your work, you need to make sure that the colors are mixing as expected, you got them right. And also that the other step, which is step number 3, you need execution of the learners. That is when you have prepared, when you know what they are supposed to do, when you have experimented everything, now you invite them to come and do the things. That's executing, means learners doing the work. And then the last step is to evaluate after they have executed. When they are done, now you start giving feedback by looking at the artworks. How to develop learner self-image, communication, and this just to say, in your class there is always learners who are able to talk, who are able to put up their hand. And there are those learners who are just quiet, even if they know what we are talking about, they are just quiet. Now, how do you make them? How do you grow that confidence in them so that they are able to talk and they are able to contribute without fear of others to laugh at them or whatsoever? How do you do it? One of those points is just foster feeling of belonging, make them feel that they belong there, they should be there, be a role model. Foster a can-do attitude. Let them try to make sure that, yes, make them believe that they can do it. If they can say, I can't, they said, no, just try, you can do it. Identify their strength. Sometimes they are quiet, but they are very intelligent. And most of those things, you see them when they're going to writing tests and all those kind of, they get the highest compared to those sometimes that talks too much, or most contributors in class. And please continue reading. It is still the first version of how to develop. That is now for a teacher. And then this point, this is now art. How can art help to develop that specific image also? This is by giving activities in groups, and also art itself, learners, that's why you see them here using erasers and all those. Why do they use erasers? Is it not to get rid of the problem or the mistake that they feel they made and they correct it? So this is what just it means by saying art helps to solve a problem. And this specific problem does not end there. It always it continues, and they will be able to apply even in their social playing grounds and all those kind of things or activities. Also, getting practical, this is there are 4 recommended methods that can be used for guiding learners. This is modeling or demonstrating, providing descriptive feedback, explaining to organize learners' thoughts, and all. It's just to make and accommodate learners, make them comfortable, gain courage in their works, and not feel that maybe they haven't done anything enough. That means you need to demonstrate to them, you need to give them positive feedbacks, and you need also to comment on their thoughts. When they are telling you, you must be able to ask questions and have a conversation in a way they gain that specific knowledge. Priorities on demonstrating on how to make models, shapes. Here, what is important here is to, or what I should, all is important, but what I should highlight is on the 3 different basic shapes, that is of the geometric, natural or organic, and abstract. What is the differences between the 2 or the 3? What do designers use shapes for? They use them to organize information, summarize ideas, create movement, textures, and this is just a list of why or what designers use or what shapes are used for. The value of creating. This modeling, we are here, it's referring to clay, modeling clay material. When they are able to form cows or human figures, they said why is it important? It's also the same as drawing, that it helps with solving problems, discipline, calm, especially here with discipline and calm. You know that it breaks if you are mishandling it. So through that you learn to calm down and take it as it goes. Otherwise you'll be repeating the same thing over and over and getting nowhere. How to involve learners in modeling, I think I have addressed that in there, in the topic of involving them in painting. Here it's box constructing. This is just to say using boxes to construct maybe a house, a car, or a human being, a robot or something, just to cut and pasting those things. So how does that happen? And also down there is just another of how to involve learners in that. They help you collect the boxes and sort them out and start preparing them. This is just before they can now start working on their own. How to collage activity. As I explained before, that collage, as you can see in this specific image here, you can see that those are normal pictures from magazines or colors that were cut down, and the child was able to create this specific image here. And here they are able to put together some elephants, some birds there, some plants there, but you can see that this is cut from different magazines and made one specific art. So that the process of cutting or tearing and pasting while creating a specific image, it's what is called collage. The mediums of picture making. What is this picture making? This is just to say, what do artists can use to make pictures? They can use pen to draw, they can use pencils, they can use paint, you can use collage. There's a lot of things that you can use, and those are just the medias. Here there's 2 learning philosophies or methods: product-centered and the process-centered. The difference between the 2: product-centered, that is when you don't consider what the child went through to create. You are only looking for a beautiful painting. Even if the painting was made by somebody at home, you don't really care about that. You just care that it's beautiful. However, the process-centered, that one is you don't care much of how the result comes out or how the painting looks like. However, you care more of the process. Does the child did this her own? How was it? And how did the result ended up coming that specific out like that. This is to do with participations, that the participation in itself, it's already that the meaning of that specific term itself is that you give learners a group art activity and they have to participate, and you observe those that able to do it, to work in a group, those that relax back and see observe the others doing it, and then that is when you come in giving them responsibilities so that they start contributing. Otherwise, these are just the differences of the grades and how they use the elements of arts, the lines and then the patterns and all that. So see how grade 1s use the lines, how grade 2 does it, how grade 3 does it, how the pre-primary does it. Modeling activities same, and also some glossaries here that you just need to study and know the meanings. They are the most frequently used terminologies in your book, and very good for you to you studied them. And I say good luck with your assessments for 2021. My contact is there, my email address, and do not hesitate to send me an email address in case you are preparing yourself and somehow in a way you do not understand what is going on when it comes to the questions in the assignments. And I say good luck for your year.